Welcome back. Happy Thursday. Yesterday, I made this absurd notion that we have the backing of the universe behind us. We're in the position of entrepreneur who has been invited to go into business with a great business magnate, a billionaire, we might say, and of course, we might say that's an absurd notion because I have no such thing, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that and why that might feel to be the case sometimes. And it brings up it's a challenging thing to realize, but sometimes the problem that we have is not the problem, is not really the problem. There's a deeper problem involved. And to get at this, I'm going to look at three different life situations that might come up for people. One would be um, if they're low on money, they're going through scarcity. Another situation would be if they have a health concern. And another situation would be if they have a broken heart. So these are three things that human beings could run into all the time. And I've made this preposterous claim that we have this backing behind us that can come in anytime and help us out and get us wherever it is that we want to go. Because if you're in business and you have a billionaire behind you, you can't fail. You're too big to fail, so to speak. And yet we seem to fail in our life. But what I'm saying today is that the problem we have oftentimes is misidentified. And if we're trying to fix the wrong problem, then we're never going to get to the solution. So I'm going to give one example of it. If a young toddler, uh, if their shoe were untied and they ran to their parent and started crying and pointing down at their feet that their shoes were untied, and mommy or daddy would always tie their shoe, then the child would really like that, and then they would go running back out into the world and they would have fun and climb trees and more likely just sit and play video games all day long, come to think of it. But be that as it may, their shoe would come untied at some point, and then in their inability to tie their own shoe based on their overdependence or their learned helplessness, they would keep running back. And so the problem to the child is my shoe is untied. And the problem to the parent is seen as my child doesn't know how to tie their shoe yet. There's the difference might seem subtle, but it says that the chasm between those two worlds is wider than the Grand Canyon. The child says, the problem is my shoe continuously becomes untied. And the problem to the parent is seen obviously as my child has not learned to tie their shoe yet. So I'm going to let them struggle and wait a while and work on it and see. I'm going to give them the same curriculum over and over and over again. Their shoe is going to untie. I'm going to counsel them that they know how to do it because I've shown them how to do it 164 times, and yet they don't do it. So the child has to go without their shoe untied. So now let's put this into a more adult situation. We're out of money, and the problem is the universe won't give us more money. The bills are stacking up and we can't seem to find the money anywhere. The problem is, from our point of view, that there's no money out there. Now, the problem, as seen from our higher power, our infinite loving parent, you might say, is that we have a scarcity consciousness. We have a poverty mentality. There's abundance, there's resources, there's means by which all around us are all around us, and we don't engage them or we don't know how. And so until we realize the problem is not the problem is not what we think it is. The problem is that we have a vulnerability to that problem in general. It's not that we're out of money. It's not that there's no money. It's that we think that there is. There isn't indeed. How about if we're sick? Well, we beg for a healing and we don't get it. And yet the problem may not be the problem. Maybe our lifestyle is out of control, or maybe we're eating bad food, or maybe we're under constant stress and we won't address it. And so the problem is not the feeling in our body. The problem is our inability to understand what health and wellness is and engage it. And we have every opportunity to do that. And if we were to have a higher power that would step in and fix our health concerns, if we're just going to keep eating crappy food and not meditate or take care of ourselves or exercise, then that would be a larger problem. The smaller problem would be fixed, and the larger problem would remain, and we'd remain hamstrung by the issue. And then finally, a broken heart. Now, when we have a broken heart, somebody has left us for one reason or the other, and we beg God to bring that person back, whether we're young and a boyfriend or girlfriend has left us, and all we would want is them to come back and it would fix everything, and it doesn't happen. And what's up with that? And yet the problem is not that somebody has left us. The problem is that we're vulnerable to having our heart broken, because at the deepest level, our hearts can't be broken, and our infinite parent knows that we have a supply of love that is inexhaustible and infinite. So if you can see through, when we can see through the smaller problem to what the bigger problem is, the problem, if a problem is persistent, insidious, it won't go away. The problem may not be the problem. The problem is a larger problem. It's a problem in our mind that needs to be healed. And when we realize we might be addressing the problem in the wrong fashion, then we can seek what the true answer is. And the true answer is always inside of our consciousness. It's the elimination of the vulnerability, or it's the exercise of a capacity we have to not have that problem anymore, rather than having a Santa Claus higher power always tie our shoes for us, so to speak. So, food for thought. I have found myself smashing into this lesson many times in my life in a variety of ways. And usually when I'm stuck in a problem that won't go away, there's this dawning that the problem is not what I think the problem is. The problem is my state of mind that would allow or facilitate such a problem in the first place. And oftentimes it's that realization that the problem is not what I think it is. The problem is a problem of my perception, that then my perception almost immediately alters or adjusts for the better. And then, of course, the situation clears up instantly. And that pleases my billionaire higher power, who wants me to not be helpless or without resource, and thus lets me learn these lessons with love and compassion. Have a beautiful day.